Hmm. It's way too early. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Spazzy Dragon here, aka Syndromes, and welcome to part 10 at 7 AM on a Monday morning. Why the hell am I currently recording a video at 7 AM on a Monday morning? I'll tell you. There's only 30 people online, and that's actually my alarm clock going off. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, it's 7 in the morning for me, GMT plus 2, and there's only 30 people online. You know what that means? It is time to migrate our ore to New Berlin. Now, I already said that pirates favor ore smuggler, ore traders, mainly because the value of the cargo is pretty high, right? And so it means that there's a bigger chance that they're gonna pay. Well, here's the thing. Yes, that is in fact the case. The ore is pretty valuable. I mean, we have a relatively small transport. There's only 1,700 cargo here, right? We're gonna get about 22 million out of this. And it only costs us, like, what, 2 million to buy all of this? From that miner? From the previous episode? So yeah. This is exactly what we're gonna do. And after we are done investing in that, we might actually make our own miner. So. Here's the thing. You might say that, oh, well, you know, there's only 30 people online, so transporting ore like this is probably the safest bet at this point, right? Not exactly. See, the problem is that since there's a lot less players online, and if you don't change your character name that often, you become a very predictable and very easy target. Hello there, IMG. I'm just gonna enable it just in case. Yeah. Also, this is the transport that we're gonna go for, the actual dedicated mining ship. Which is always gonna be a good thing. So yeah, if we take a look around, there's not all that many people around, and yet there are a few that we should probably try to avoid. Sigma 13 and the Sigmas in general are probably the most problematic places right now. And due to the way how you approach them, the gate between Sigma 13 and Honshu, it's a rather problematic little place, especially when there's no nearby bases from either side. And that's actually a very favorable place for pirates to sit in. You'll see it for yourself, or maybe you won't, hopefully. Hopefully I won't have to show you by practice, right? So, yeah. So today's episode is going to be about what kind of ships are we gonna get later, because right now we are about to finally finish up with our current goal, which is to set up a good economy so we can fund all of our characters, right? So after that, we just need to figure out how much we want to sink into our characters and what sort of ships we can get. Discovery Freelancer as a mod adds a lot of stuff, but one of the biggest additions, gameplay-wise, is the fact that we're steering away from fighters to be the only choice when it comes to both PvP and role-playing and whatever, right? Fighters still remain the most common ship, right? You know, in large battles you will mostly see fighters, and you will mostly see fighters flying around. Snubcraft in general are more popular than larger ships for various reasons, but it's mostly because they are very cheap and they are very multifunctional. The bigger the ship is, at least here in Discovery, right, the bigger the ship is, the bigger the chance that it's sort of specialized. So yeah, that is what we're going to do right now. So, Sigma 13, there's one player in Sigma 13, a rank 62, which is a potential hostile. Now there's two people, which is 76, so that might not be that bad of a thing. Usually pirates are at around 50 to 60. 70 is usually a trader, although at the same time it could be a pirate in a capital ship, for example a very well armored gunboat or a very poorly armed cruiser. Although people who use cruisers to pirate are, first of all, they're jerkwads, because why the fuck would you want to pirate someone if you already have a cruiser? And secondly, you know, I forgot what the second thing is. I'm so sleepy right now. You have no idea how sleepy I am. But yeah. So, ship types. What can we get? Let's start with the very small ships that we have, the light fighter. The light fighter and the interceptors, as it's also called, is a very unique ship. Like, you know, fighters are usually very, I wouldn't say overly generic, and, you know, so why is there a random missile just... That was just a random missile. Yeah. So fighters in general are small, capable crafts, very cheap to make, very cheap to maintain, and they usually are, you know, pretty multifunctional. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with it, you know, apart from trading. But yeah, light fighters are interesting. Up until 4.86, I think? No, 4.85. Actually, I don't even know. Light fighters were pretty much like the regular... Hello there, barge. This guy just... Yeah, he just... Oh my god! Yeah, hello there, getting wrecked by that NPC battleship. Poor guy. Yeah, that is the barge. That is the biggest, like physically biggest ship in the game, which you cannot buy from regular base. You have to apply with, you either have to buy it, which actually costs a lot of money. Like, we're talking about tens of billions. Or you have to apply for a special roleplay for this thing. Yeah, seeing this thing just flying around is just comical in a sense. Like, it's way too big. It's too big for the Freelancer engine. It just sort of fucks out when you do something wrong with it. But yeah. I like how I started talking about the smallest ship in the game when we suddenly see the biggest one. But yeah, the light fighter. Okay, so up until just recently, well, relatively recently, the light fighter was pretty much as a regular heavy fighter with a poor power core, with power guns, and you know, more shitty shield. And pretty much the only thing that it had going for itself is the speed and agility. And then they added a lot bigger cruise speed, which was nice. And after that, they also added a thing called burst fighter. I think that is the term that we are actually using right now for the light fighter weapon, you know, ship class. Basically, what that means is that it can actually dish out more fire. Like, the actual weapons are more powerful. Like, they have their own set of weapons, own class of weapons, and they're technically more powerful than the regular fighters. Yeah, they're more powerful than regular fighters' guns, but they can only shoot for about 2 seconds before their core runs out. So basically, that is the gist of a burst fighter. You have the ability to unleash a huge amount of, you know, power and damage. That's some copper. So yeah, you have the ability to unleash huge amounts of damage, but you can do that in bursts, and obviously it's still very flimsy, and it's really hard to fly. Like, I haven't seen people who are, like, dedicated light fighter pilots, or at least there's not a lot of them. And the usual problem with light fighters is that anyone who uses missiles don't really have to try and hit you that much, and as soon as you have 2 or 3 people who each have missiles on you, you're pretty much gonna die really fast. So that is the problem with the light fighter. So then we have heavy fighters. This is pretty much the same concept as the light fighter, although not that extreme. You're basically sacrificing some of your firepower and some of your armor for a much greater agility, but at the same time you pretty much use the same guns as a very heavy fighter. And as far as I know, or I might be mistaken here, but you also have the same power core, so it's not like you sacrifice a lot, but it makes the fighting sort of a little bit more careful in that regard. I mean, the heavy fighter sort of requires a much more aggressive playstyle because of the way that you handle, very, very easily. But at the same time, you can't really utilize all of it, so you know, that's the problem. Or at least, like, everything that I'm saying right now comes from my own, like, you know, my own experience with these things. So what the hell is this? Like, 29 people. There's a guy in Bastille. There's no one in Sigma 13 anymore, which is good. That's very good. So we are just going to quickly dump this amount of ore off, and hopefully we're not going to encounter anything bad along the way. We have 1, 2, 3 systems to go. We're jumping into Sigma right. So, okay, so this is the gate I was talking about. As you can see, there's no stations around from this side, and there's no stations around from that side. And a lot of pirate players actually cap this gate. It's a very good pirating spot. As for bases, they have you know, some choice. They can restock. There's a Freelancer base nearby that we actually should check out, but I don't think that we are gonna waste too much time. So yeah, they're either going to hit you at the gate or at this lane here, because you're in this freaking nebula gas cloud thing, and you can't really, like, your scanner doesn't work that well, so the trick of you know, trying to jump out, you know, really early before you see the pirate, like before the pirate gets within range of CDing you, is pretty tough. You actually have to just keep your eyes peeled. You just have to stare at the radar in the lower left and just hope to God you can react faster than the pirate can. So there you go. So after heavy fighters, we have very heavy fighters, which is pretty much the go-to class, as already said. These are the most popular ships in the game. They require a lot of skill, but it's basically one of those moments of... Let's quickly make sure that no one's here. Okay. It's basically one of those moments of easy to learn, hard to master. For example, I mean, I can fly a very heavy fighter, but I know that if you know, if it's a one-on-one fight, it's pretty quick. You can realize really quickly if you're doing too poorly. And one of the biggest key features of snubcraft in general, like light fighters, heavy fighters, very heavy fighters, super heavy fighters, and bombers, is the fact that if tits go up, then you can get the hell out of there. Like, you have the ability to avoid damage if you know, if you sort of dodge a lot. I realize that these, you know, these descriptions aren't really that good. I mean, if you want to learn more about each individual type, you sort of need to go to the forums or Wikipedia. I think the easiest way would be just to, you know, ask someone on the forum, and they're probably going to explain everything you need to know. So after very heavy fighters, we have the super heavy fighter. That thing is very interesting. Like, that is the only ship in the game that currently can mount 2 missiles. Like, maybe by the time you're watching this video it might change, but yeah, this makes the ship very powerful in a certain way. Although it's a very big target, it's very easy to hit, and Quite frankly, it falls into the same category as the light fighter for me. It's very specialized. It's very good at what it's supposed to do, but it's not a quote daily driver, so to speak. You know, it's not the ship that you undock and just chill with. So after that, we have the bomber. The bomber is a specialized ship. Its main guns are very slow. The projectiles are very slow, and they're sort of spread out in a cone side of things. So it's, you know, it's not an accurate thing. You're really not going to hit other fighters and bombers with it too well. But what makes that ship so powerful is the bomber torpedoes and the bomber energy weapons. So, you know, the ones actually go into the torpedo slot. So you have the Nova Torpedo, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a much more beefed up version than the regular Starkiller and Sunslayer torpedoes for the very heavy fighters, and they are specifically meant to take out large ships. For example, transports, capital ships, depending on what sort of capital ship it is. And the thing about the torpedoes is the fact that it allows you to take these guys on from a relatively safe distance, although the server lag and the, you know, the usage of countermeasures actually does sort of, you know, make it really impractical. Although it really depends on the player. So, and the other choice, obviously, is the Supernova Antimatter Cannon, or the SNAC. So if you hear someone who got snacked by a bomber, then, you know, that's exactly what happens. They got hit by a bomber weapon. The SNAC is a precise, albeit very slow-moving projectile which can insta-kill anything below a gunboat, and it can also kill a unarmored gunboat. So it's one of those things that a lot of skill players use to hunt down snubcraft. It's something that a lot of people focus on to, you know, make damage to you know, large ships like cruisers and battleships. Yeah, which is, you know, pretty cool. And we are on the home stretch, actually. So this is gonna be nice. The only problem is that we got the sword very cheaply back in TAL 23, right? But at the same time, I don't think that there's a lot of players in the Omegas who would actually mine for us. I'm not really sure. I suppose we can only wait and see. Okay, so this is where the kids go clubbing. Watch this. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna feel so good. It's like, hey, we open, it's like 19 million credits. Boosh. 38 million credits, guys. It's time. So yeah, we just completed our first task. We just got enough money to actually make a new character. I think I'm gonna make it later, though. So what happens now? Well, quite frankly, I'd actually have to start, you know, getting back to work. I actually have to go to work today, so I think that this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than I expected it to be. But yeah, we're on New Berlin, and I suppose we might as well just... We need to go and make our way to the Omegas, and hopefully some people are going to have something in mind so we can actually take back. Or we could actually sell this ship off, which could also be a good thing. Well, here's the Behemoth. This is actually a very good choice for starting players, although I didn't want to waste my money on it. The problem with this ship, it has a bigger cargo hold, which is all nice and dandy, but at the same time, it's a Rhineland ship, so, you know, you wouldn't be able to enter a place like Liberty with it. It's not neutral enough for a Freelancer, sadly. But it's a very good starting ship. It's very powerful as well. But, there you go. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna cut this specific episode a little bit earlier than usual. We're only at 20 minutes right now, so yeah. This is a land point. This is a you know, a landmark, we have obtained enough credits to actually make a character which we can then use to make a lot of money with. So this is where we're gonna cut off today. It's time for Smazzy to go to work. Cheers.